You've probably heard the buzz. Vyvanse is being prescribed for both ADHD and binge eating. But is it a breakthrough solution or just another band-aid for a deeper problem? If you're someone who struggles with emotional eating, late night binges, and also deals with the chaos that can come with ADHD, this episode is going to help you make sense of what's really going on and what options are available to you. Because when it comes to healing binge eating, there's no one pill fixes all. Welcome to Unbodied Love, where we're rewriting the rules around food, body image, and self-acceptance. I'm Dr. Meredith McKenzie, therapist, coach, and your guide to a life free from diet culture and food guilt. If you ever felt stuck in the cycle of binging, restricting, or struggling to feel at home in your body, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll explore emotional eating, body image, and joyful movement through solo episodes, expert interviews, and real-life coaching sessions. Because your body is not the problem. This is your space to learn, heal, and finally break free, and to discover what it means to love the body you're in. Let me introduce you to Jenna. Jenna was diagnosed with ADHD in her mid-30s after years of struggling with overwhelm, forgetfulness, emotional sensitivity, and as she described it, bizarre eating habits I couldn't explain. Every night, Jenna found herself in the kitchen eating more than she wanted to, more than she was hungry for. It was something that would take over, especially after long hyper-focused days at work where she forgot to eat. She was exhausted, undernourished, and her brain starved for dopamine. She went straight for food. Jenna's doctor suggested Vyvanse. At first, it felt like a game changer. She had focus, fewer intrusive food thoughts. She wasn't reaching for snacks all day. But after a couple of months, she realized something else was happening. She wasn't hungry at all until the afternoon. And by then, she was ravenous. And when the meds wore off, by the evening, her ADHD symptoms came back hard, and the binge eating did too. Let's start with the big picture. ADHD and binge eating might seem like two completely different things, but for many women I work with, they're actually tightly connected. And for a lot of women, especially those undiagnosed as children, ADHD goes unnoticed until later in life. The result? Years of struggling with executive functioning, impulsivity, shame around eating habits, and a never-ending battle to just get it together. Here's my message. You are not lazy. You are not broken. Your brain is wired differently, and you deserve strategies that honor that. I'm going to jump into a mini teaching moment with you right now. ADHD impacts executive functioning, which is your ability to plan, organize, follow through, and regulate emotions. It also affects how your brain processes dopamine, which is a reward neurotransmitter. Now, combine that with the culture of dieting and food rules that many women live with, and it's the perfect storm. When you're undernourished and overstimulated, binge eating can become your body's way of coping. Here are a few patterns that I see all the time in my therapy practice. Trouble with meal planning or time management means meals are skipped or hunger cues are completely missed, and the intense cravings hit hard at the end of the day. Time blindness makes it easy to go hours without realizing you haven't eaten. Impulsivity means grabbing whatever food you see first, not what actually feels satisfying. And a dopamine deficit means your brain is wired to chase higher reward foods, especially when you're overstimulated, undernourished, or emotionally flooded. When your brain is craving dopamine and your body is starving, of course you binge. If this is sounding familiar, you're not alone. And that brings us to Vyvanse, a stimulant medication approved for both ADHD and binge eating disorder. Here's what we know about Vyvanse. Vyvanse increases dopamine and norepinephrine, two neurotransmitters that help with focus, attention, and impulse control. For many, that means fewer cravings, reduced urgency around food, and fewer binge episodes. But while the research looks promising, it's not the whole picture. Yes, medication can support healing, but it can't replace the healing work itself. So let's talk about some of the side effects. Vyvanse is known to cause decreased appetite, insomnia, anxiety or jitteriness, digestive issues, elevated heart rate, and for people who are already struggling to stay nourished, a suppressed appetite can actually increase the risk of binge eating later in the day. Here's what often happens. A client that I may be working with takes Vyvanse in the morning, doesn't feel hungry because of the medication, and ends up skipping meals. Or their appetite is suppressed where they don't eat enough. By late afternoon, the medication wears off and the ADHD symptoms come roaring back, and the body is suddenly starving, physically and emotionally. Binge eating becomes the body's survival response. When your appetite is silenced all day, your cravings will scream at night. This isn't failure, this is just biology. So is Vyvanse right for you? Maybe. For some people, Vyvanse creates just enough mental space to start building new skills and routines. For others, it's intolerable due to anxiety, side effects, or dependency risk. That's why I always recommend working with both your medical doctor and a therapist trained in binge eating support. Because the goal isn't just fewer binges, it's a life of trust, consistency, and true freedom around food. Healing binge eating isn't about willpower, it's about nourishment, nervous system regulation, and support. So if you're considering medication, ask yourself, do I have support in place to help me build sustainable habits? Am I aware of how I'll nourish myself even if I'm not feeling my hunger cues in the moment? Am I open to exploring a trial run and setting realistic expectations? Because the most powerful healing happens when you combine structure with self-compassion. So what can you do instead or maybe even alongside of taking Vyvanse? Here are a few strategies I work on with clients who use Vyvanse and struggle with binge eating. Structured eating. So plan consistent meals and snacks, even if you don't feel hunger cues. This is something that we call mechanical eating, where it might feel as though you're going against your body. But unfortunately, when you're taking medications like Vyvanse, it can be really challenging to be truly intuitive eating because your body is not giving you the signals that it needs. Try using a body cues journal. Track your emotions, your energy, and focus throughout the day to see any patterns. Use gentle reminders such as alarm clocks to remind you to pause, check in, and eat regularly. And finally, work with a therapist or coach, especially someone who understands both ADHD and disordered eating. It's not about perfection, it's about creating a rhythm that supports your brain and body. So here are some journaling prompts for this week. When during the day do I feel the most out of control with food? Am I underfeeding myself earlier in the day? How does my energy and focus fluctuate in relation to my eating habits? What's one small way I can nourish myself consistently this week, even if I'm not physically feeling hungry? Let these questions guide you with curiosity and not criticism. You're not a failure for needing this support. Let's wrap this up. So is Vyvanse the answer? It may be part of it, but it's not the whole answer. The real work isn't about fixing yourself, it's about understanding yourself and supporting your body, brain, and heart in the way that actually works. And that's exactly what I teach inside my programs. If you're looking for a comprehensive, judgment-free space to heal your relationship with food, check out One Body to Love, my signature program designed to help you break free from the binge restrict cycle and feel at home in your body again. Or if nighttime is the hardest part of your day, start with my free guide, 5 Steps to End Binge Eating at Night. You'll find the link in the show notes. It's a quick read and packed with practical tools. Whether you're exploring medication or not, know this. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're just ready for a better way. That's it for today's episode of One Body to Love. I'm so grateful you chose to spend this time with me. These conversations around food and body image can be deeply personal, and the fact that you showed up today open and curious means more than I can say. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Come connect with me on Instagram at Dr. Meredith McKenzie. Send me a message, share what stood out, or just say hi. If you're ready to take the next step toward food freedom and finally feel at home in your body, head to meredithmckenzie.ca/OBTL to learn more about the One Body to Love program. You'll find everything you need to begin healing your relationship with food with support every step of the way. If you're enjoying the show, one of the best ways to show support is by leaving a quick rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening. Your words help more women find this space and feel less alone. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You deserve a life of peace with food and your body.